Welcome to the Sage 300 virtual update. Amanda here from MicroChannel Marketing, and I'm joined by Team Sage. And today we've got Alex, Bruce, and Ettore, and Stefan from MicroChannel. And if I can just run you quickly through the agenda that we're talking through today. First off, we've got Stefan, and he's welcoming us with the vision and the intelligent organisation. And next up, Ettore is running us through working towards a future-ready business. And then back to Stefan with the path forward with perpetual and subscription options. And then Bruce is going to run us through what's happening in Sage 300 with 2020.2 and 2021. If I can just pass over to you, Stefan.
All right, excellent. Good morning, everybody. Just from my side as well, being directly at MicroChannel, also want to extend a warm welcome. I think from my side, I know a number of you have been using Sage 300 for a very long time. There may be still a few that call it ACPAC, for those of us giving away our age. But there will also be users who are new to the Sage world. And therefore, I've decided to give you an update regarding the vision of Sage. In the ever-changing landscape of technology, it's important to understand what Sage is busy with today and what their future holds. So firstly, Sage wants to be a great SaaS company, software as a service. So it's all about the cloud. Now, it is not difficult for us to understand nowadays what it means to work remotely and to be connected. We don't print anymore. We enjoy the fact that our mobile phones update itself overnight. Imagine your software doing the same. Local and global organizations want to see real-time information. Company consolidations should be instant. Want to have access 24/7. Mobility becomes standard, anywhere, anytime. And this is the direction all software are going at the moment. Secondly, what's very important during this whole process is while we're aiming to become a great SaaS company, it's important for us at MicroChannel to assist our customers on this journey. Some customers will not like to change in the short term. Some will like to change immediately, and others may be in the long term. Others at this stage will not like to change at all. So we need to accommodate for this to ensure our customers can decide basically their own pace. Thirdly, business partners is also part of the vision of Sage. MicroChannel need to have a plan to handle these changes, and we should be able to adapt quickly to ensure we can support you, our customers, through this journey. As MicroChannel is the largest Sage partner in Australia and as the largest Sage customer base, we have been working alongside Sage to localize the Sage Cloud product for Australia. So this enables us to ensure we can support you, our customer, on an ongoing basis. Further to that, it's all about the vision, the fourth pillar of the Sage strategy. Sage is introducing the term the intelligent organization, an organization that is connected across all areas and systems. They call it the unified system. We have people, which is your HR, we have operations, we have finance. And one of these systems are all virtually one. We want employees to enter their expense claims and get paid by workflow approval effortlessly. What if the intelligent organization can assist me with proper forecasting and planning? Show me my expected revenue for the next 6 months based on current contracts and historical data, without printing a report, accessible from anywhere at any time. For financial reports, we want to include the number of employees on the financial reports. We want to show the number of projects. All this without moving data. It's all in a unified system. But also what's important is it's not just about the software, it's also about the user. It's important that through the software, we increase efficiency to allow the users to focus more on higher value added activities. So what does this mean? I'll give a few examples. First of all, what if the software can assist you to indicate that and ask you a question, why is your rent $2,000 more this month? Maybe it was just a capturing mistake. But what if the software can bring back to your attention before month end? What if the system can eliminate the close? All this month-end, the 7 days we take to do month-end. What if the software can assist that and virtually almost eliminate? What about reconciliations? Also part of the day-to-day operations of any organization. What if the software can assist with your bank as well as balance sheet reconciliations? What if the intelligent organization can assist with all these things? To continue monitoring the system and provide recommendations and automate certain tasks. Now you may think through all of this, so where do we start as an organization moving forward? And I will come back a bit later on during the discussions to show you the path forward through all these different options. So I will now like to hand over to Tori, that's going to take us through the digital revolution of SaaS now. Thanks, Tori.
Thank you, Stefan. Good morning, everyone. Warm welcome to you all. It's great to be here with you. My name is Ettore Altrisi. I'm the Product Marketing Director at Sage. Just wanted to spend a few minutes with you this morning sharing some insights on some of the significant changes we're seeing as a result of the current market environment, and really how business digitalization has really emerged as the key enabler to help future-ready businesses. As we've all experienced, digital transformation has vastly changed the business landscape. Innovations are scaling significantly faster than they have ever before. You can see in this slide the time it has taken for innovations to reach 50 million users has shifted dramatically from decades to nowadays. So, airlines once took many years to be able to hit that milestone. Whereas today, you could submit a viral video to hit that milestone within 24 hours. So, really has accelerated at a significant pace, and the growth has really been driven by the digital landscape. So we now find ourselves living in a whole new world. The global pandemic has really brought profound and unprecedented change through both our personal and professional lives. Businesses are now facing challenges not previously experienced or even planned for. So we're seeing new scaled mobile workforces working from home, so en masse, requiring new technology and digital being at the core of that. We're seeing customers' needs shifting dramatically and expectations shifting in tune with now having more limited face-to-face contact and engaging more online. We have also a more focused drive from businesses to drive optimization and continuity, and this has really included an accelerated adoption of technology and also automation through the business, and just a general reappraisal of what's important to all of us. So all of this is really sparking a new digital revolution, a new world, and this is further accelerating digitization across industries and businesses of all different sizes. So the global pandemic has really been a catalyst for businesses to review, revise, and really accelerate their digital transformation strategies, not just as a key source for survival today, but also to protect their future. Businesses have been forced to embrace new technology and IT environments to service workforces, to adopt automation to optimize operations, and also shift to online environments to service customers. This unexpected evolution has really delivered years of digital transformation in the space of a few months. You can see a number of examples up on the screen of leading organizations such as Microsoft, Accenture, McKinsey, who have all validated this new digital environment, mentioning acceleration of digital transformation from years to a matter of months. We've seen through this process adoption of cloud technologies grow by more than 50% across industries. The use of collaboration tools really increasing by 200% to 600% with working from home requirements. And there's also been a significant jump in security issues and breaches, driving an accelerated focus on business security. With all the disruption that we have seen, there's also come lots of opportunity. And just to use a well-known quote from The Art of War, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity or innovation. So while businesses have been facing enormous challenges, those that have been quick to embrace digitization are also rediscovering themselves. Businesses are taking the opportunity to focus and synthesize their value, diversifying their businesses, improving, evolving customer experiences, and really having a look at ways of improving their general business and approach to market. So they really found ways to innovate in the face of adversity. So with business continuing to face near-term challenges and working through various cycles to recovery, digitisation and innovation will establish the right foundation to really ensure that they have a future-ready business as the upswing comes in. So in this road to the new normal, most businesses have worked through business continuity and the optimization cycles, and now they're ensuring that their business can survive through the economic downturn, which is expected, but can also be alleviated through some of the following steps. We're now seeing businesses entering into a more critical phase of business resiliency, which will essentially be a foundational recovery cycle in the preparation for future upswing and a return to growth. Some of the key drivers that will be critical during this period really include things like a shift in mindset and behaviours. So organisations are really requiring now more composed and adaptive leadership, demonstrating care and due diligence, good faith in their people, and a desire to evolve with the environment that they're working in. Adopting a new employee dynamic, so focusing on employee output rather than attendance, and ensuring employee wellness and engagement in a new work environment. Focusing on the long game, so really not looking at short-term gain, but establishing a strong foundation for the future success of the business, seeing through the difficult times in preparation for what future growth will bring. Ensuring strong cash reserves and liquidity, and continuing to drive business optimization across cost structures, workforces, and operational effectiveness. Also amplifying customer service, empathizing with customers, evolving service models, partnering with customers now to ensure longevity, both for them, but also for their business. And also taking the opportunity to explore new channels and revenues, business adjacencies that have become more accessible through digitalisation. So these drivers will help flatten that business, that potential a downturn that you're seeing for businesses, and also accelerate time for value, and also present a good opportunity to drive growth and through that upswing period. So you'll see these new drivers continue post-pandemic as really businesses establish a new operating rhythm and really a new normal. So just really a quick overview and just some context on some of the topics that we're leading to some of the content we'll cover shortly. So we're really finding ourselves now into a new normal, a new digital world. We expect this to continue post-pandemic and through the growth period. And really those organisations that are embracing and accelerating digital are really going to establish a future-ready business and a great foundation for success. So thank you, and Stefan, back to you.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that, Tori. Right, so as I said earlier, there's now a few options available for you, our Sage customers, to for moving forward regarding your Sage software that you're running at the moment. So I'm just going to take you through those different options. So we have, I call them the Sage Classic, the Sage Subscription, and the Sage Intacct Cloud. So the Classic is basically what you guys all have at the moment. Most of you will, 99.5% most probably. There's a subscription option and the cloud. So I'm just going to take you through all these different options so that you have a very clear understanding what they mean to assist you with the decision-making process. So firstly, we have the Sage Classic. So that is the software that's currently installed on your server. It sits somewhere in your server room, maybe. It can also maybe be hosted by SS MicroChannel, by a company that you choose from your side. It needs a normal server backups, a normal IT maintenance that goes with that. And you obviously, you acquired the software and you own the software. It's yours to be used. Now, things to consider with this at the moment is this obviously upgrade cost. As you all are aware, is that we quite frequently have to come and do upgrades to take you to the most current version of the software. Thing to remember there as well, if it's not hosted, is that we obviously with upgrades need to take into consideration your hardware, make sure that your hardware will be compatible with the current version. And typically for 300, as you all will know, that there's a lot of add-on modules available, and they are all still available for you to add and expand functionality should that be needed for your organization. So basically the Sage 300 Classic is the software 99% of you guys will use at the moment. So I think that's the easy one for all of us to understand. Now, what Sage has introduced is called Sage 300 Subscription. The subscription option, which I call the hybrid. So it's like between you, if you don't want to go into the cloud world 100%, but you want to start making use of some of these cloud functionality, then Sage 300 Subscription is worthwhile for you to look at. So what does this include? So it's the same software you have at the moment. It sits on your server, can be hosted. We're still going to do the annual or every second year upgrades for you guys when that is needed to take it to the current version of the software. The big difference is now that it moves into a subscription model, which means the software is now leased. So you do not own the software anymore. So every 12 months you have to pay for a subscription, and the software will then issue a license basically to give you another 12-month worth of subscription. So the question will be, why will I go this route? And the main answer there is to make use of cloud functionality that's been rolled out. And the two ones that has been initiated by Sage at this stage is for bank feeds and the payment clouds. And Bruce will later on after my session go a bit more into what this means for you guys. Sage is also, the subscription model is actually a bit more expensive than the cloud classic version, and for obvious reasons moving into the cloud, there's certain costs that Sage will need to endure for that. And so that is the reason for the higher price there. And what Sage has done as well, obviously, to accommodate our customers, and they have put the pricing to move to subscription exactly the same as the classic perpetual Sage version, and that runs through till the end of December. So please make contact with us should you want us to talk about that. So big difference between this and the cloud is that you now actually leasing the software, but you get functionality that you can move into the world of the cloud and can get connected to other cloud software. And then the last option available is where we can move everything into the cloud. I'm just waiting for the screen to appear. There we go. So to move into the cloud, so this is a fully SaaS product. So it's a piece of software that lives in the Sage world. It is hosted by Sage, so nothing to do with your local infrastructure. As long as you have access to the internet and you give people access, obviously, to access the software, you have access to the solution. So there will be no future upgrades anymore. The product gets upgraded every quarter. All the customers worldwide runs on the same on the same version of the software. Every quarter, the upgrade runs automatically. As I mentioned earlier, it's almost like your mobile phone. You get the message a day or two before the upgrade happens, and then you wake up the next morning and it has happened by itself. So this software works more or less on the same basis. 2 weeks before the upgrade is going to happen, you will receive, when you log into the software, information regarding that's going to happen, as well as all the it will list all the new features that will come in play after the upgrade. It also has a lot of added functionality out of the box. And as you all know, in the Sage 300 world, that you have to acquire a lot of add-on software to enhance your solution. So with the cloud version, what Sage have done is take a lot of those add-on features and functionality and make it part of the core product. So should you buy Sage Intacct, out of the box is reports and dashboards, which is embedded in the system. It's not an add-on, it's part of the solution. Coming back to that unified system I discussed earlier, so that reporting and dashboard enables you to get information from anywhere in the system. It works with a concept called dimensions, which you as Sage 300 users will better understand the term segments. So in your chart of accounts, you have multiple segments that you can use. And in Sage 300, if you add a new segment, you have to go and add that segment to all your chart before you can use that. Now with this dimension option in the Sage Intacct, you don't have to go and expand your chart of accounts. You just create the dimension, and the dimension is then ready to be used in the transaction. So it reduces the length of your chart of accounts dramatically. We also standard in system comes with workflow. So you can now have workflow throughout the system. If you want to users to create purchase requisitions, and then there's a workflow that kicks in that needs to be approved before it becomes a purchase order. You can also decide you want to capture an accounts payable invoice in draft format initially, and then a workflow can kick in and then follow an approval process before that invoice is actually posted in your system. Bank feeds, also standard out of the box. So the system automatically will communicate with your banking and put in your bank statement and do the matching for you. So all moving towards automating that process. The collaboration tool, so it's like a chatter option that if you're busy doing a transaction and you want to ask anybody a question about that transaction, you can just shoot them a notice and a message within Sage Intacct, and that person will receive that message within Sage Intacct, and all that communication then actually stays with that transaction. So if you need to do a credit note or adjustment, all the communication and documentation is attached to that transaction for future reference and use as well. It has standard attachment of documents, so you can automatically, when you capture an invoice, do a journal entry, a bank transaction, you can attach documents and invoices as standard to those transactions now as well. And those will also be available when you do drill down from your financial reporting to drill down right to that attached document as well. Full order tracking throughout the system. Maybe you want to know when somebody is changing your vendor banking details, so that can shoot out an alert to inform someone about that. It's date stamp and user stamp each transaction in the system, and that is visibly you can see that in the system. It's not just happening in the technical, in the tables in the background. You can, for each transaction on the screen, you can see who has done the transaction and when have they post that. So full order trail out of the box available. So it's a different world for us living in the Sage 300 space, moving into the cloud world. So feel free to ask questions at the end of the session. But I think the most important part is that the choice is yours. Sage 300, as it is at this point in time, will stay. Future releases will have feature enhancements in the classic as well. So it's up to the US organization to decide how fast you want to move towards the world of the cloud. And with that, I will hand back this to Bruce to continue for us. Thanks, Bruce.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stefan, and it's all right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bruce Minty, Product Marketing Manager for Sage for the ERP portfolio. And I've done a presentation here that'll step you through what's new in version 2020.2 of Sage 300, which was released around mid to late June, and also what's coming in version 2021 at the end of September. So just a little bit of an agenda on, I'll walk you through 2020.2, what's coming in 2021. We'll have a look at the release cadence as well. as well as the development roadmap to give you a bit of an idea of what's coming down the pipeline. And then we'll just finish off with a bit of a step through the year-on-year evolution of Sage 300. All right, so into the very first, I guess the main hero feature of version 2020.2 being the introduction of automated bank feeds. As Stefan pointed out earlier, this solution is available only for subscription customers. Next slide, please. What is Sage bank feeds? Well, I guess Sage globally did a bit of a survey across the Sage 300 customer base to determine that between 45% and 87% customers use the reconciliation process to make sure their accounting software ledgers match their bank accounts. So what we did is introduced an automated bank feed functionality to automatically download bank statements and bank statement data from your banking institution into Sage 300. And obviously this saves an enormous amount of time in back office in manual data entry and collating that data, but also reduces any risk of errors. And ultimately, automated bank feeds provide efficiencies in bank reconciliation, as well as you'll see shortly, and make it far easier to access that data. Bank feeds are supported by most major banks through a partnership that Sage has made with a couple of entities, one namely SIS, which provides bank feeds, more or less a banking aggregator, as it were, much like Yodlee as well, another option there, to support most banks in Australia. So most of the majors, ANZs, NABs, you'll see the list there on the bottom left. Yodlee themselves go on to support another 173 banks and credit institutions across Australia. So a really, really good opportunity for Sage 300 customers to create those efficiencies by virtue of a direct feed into their bank accounts. It's enabled by Sage Service Fabric banking services. And at the moment, I guess, as you can see here, covering most banks in Australia, we're also actively investigating options for our New Zealand customers as well to be able to provide connectivity to New Zealand banking institutions. So how is it enabled? Well, as you'll see on this screen here, for those that are familiar with this particular screen, the Reconcile OFX statement screen is now being rebadged. It has now become a Reconcile e-statements screen. And you can use this to get electronic statements in either OFX format or from your bank feeds. Next slide, please. So you simply go through there and click on Connect Bank Feed. And at this point, I've got a little video here that steps you through the entire process. Through Common Services, click on Banking Services and Bank Transactions. Come into your Reconcile e-statements screen for the very first time. Select your bank code within Sage 300 and simply select Connect Bank Feed. Now, at this point in time, you don't necessarily need to have, you haven't necessarily preset. You can simply come through here, entering your secure credentials via the secure payment gateway. Select a bank of your choosing. If your login credentials are linked to multiple bank accounts, it supports more than one account associated with those login credentials. Nominate a retrieval date, cut-off date, as it were, for transactions from the bank account, and simply hit process. Just a little bit of background on the process. Once you get those transactions from your bank feed into Sage 300, there's a few steps you need to do in order to post that reconciliation. You firstly, obviously, download those transactions via the Reconcile e-statement screen, as I've just shown. Then use that screen to match off those transactions or enter in any bank transactions that don't exist within Sage 300, and then manually clear off or write off those unmatched transactions. But Sage will natively try and match those transactions. There's some criteria I'll show you shortly. Ensure the ending balance, of course, is from the bank statement matches the ending bank balance in Sage 300. And then this is quite important that you need to print the withdrawal status and deposit status report before you post the reconciliation. The reason being is this data isn't available to be printed within those reports after you post that reconciliation process. We go back into the Reconcile e-Statement screen. I'll just show you this process. Coming to the Reconcile e-Statement screen, again, you nominate your bank code within Sage 300. And then as we've already connected, we can now get transactions. We hit the Get Transactions mode on the right-hand side, and Sage 300 will connect to your banking institution via banking services and download those transactions as you see here. So there are about 200 transactions that have been downloaded. We need to nominate a reconciliation date and cutoff date. And as we can see, there's our transactions. From this point in time, 300 will automatically try and clear those reconciled transactions automatically for you. And there's a criteria that it follows to do so. In order to automatically match the transactions that are available within the electronic statement, there's a couple of criteria, more or less a fallback criteria that is followed to match those trans. For payments and also for deposits, as you can see, here's the criteria. I'm not going to go through every single individual criteria, but if we start from payments, for example, the transaction number in 300 must match the transaction number or reference number on the e-statement, and so on. So the reference number in 300 must match the reference number or comment on the e-statement. And then it follows this fallback criteria, as it were, in an attempt to automatically match off those transactions. And the same again for deposits. So for those that are unmatched, there's a couple of things we need to do, I guess. If it's existing on your bank statement, but it doesn't exist within 300, you need to create that transaction in 300. And that might be for instance, an interest fee, or sorry, an interest revenue piece that needs to be created within 300. And to do so, to clear off those unmatched transactions, you simply go through and create an entry. As an example here, being a deposit, $15.10, you simply click on bank entry. You enter in the type of transaction. In this case, this would be interest revenue that's recognised. Yes, to validate that and validate that message. Click OK on that. And as you can see on the far left-hand side, the left-hand column cleared is now stating yes. So that's now ready to be automatically cleared once that transaction has been entered within 300 and recognised within your system. So it's a very simple process of going through and creating those entries against those unmatched transactions where they can't be automatically matched. Hit save on that and hit reconcile. And that's the last thing that needs to be done. Again, after finishing within that particular screen, you need to print your withdrawal status and deposit status reports because they're not available after you post that reconciliation. And then ultimately it just becomes a case of just hitting post reconciliation. And that's effectively the entire process of connecting to a bank via the banking aggregator and then going through the entire reconciliation process and auto matching. So the other aspect of that particular release is the general ledger integration with tax services. Again, it's a feature that's only available for subscription customers only. Next slide, please. And the process here is that integrating general ledger and tax services allows you to enter amounts in tax amounts within general ledger journal entries. And these tax amounts are posted to tax services, so they appear in all the tax tracking reporting and in the GL reports, such as GL batch listing report and the GL posting journals report as well. Why do we do this? It's a very, I guess, an important addition for compliance, of course, and to be able to understand how you're tracking with your tax reporting. And another example of Sage listening to our customers globally, and it was a long-standing request from our customers. So another one that we can add to the kit bag. There's been also, within this particular release, a couple of subtle enhancements to web screens as well. So a continuation of the investment of our web screens to deliver value to those and ongoing improvements. These, again, are available for subscription customers, but also available to perpetual customers with a web screen subscription addendum. So there's a number of customers that have an active web screen subscription addendum to take advantage of those web screens, even though they are an existing perpetual customer. So a couple of additions there. If you use Sage Stream Cloud to manage multiple companies, you can now assign a unique color to each company to make it easier when you're switching between individual companies and ensuring that you are writing the correct transaction to the correct company that you should be working within. These, and obviously to avoid data entry errors, but previously company colors appeared in only classic screens. Now they also appear in web screens at the top of the Sage Stream Cloud homepage in those screens. So this particular feature in itself is only available for programs that are created using the Sage 300 SDK. If you use integrated programs that weren't created using the SDK, company colors will not appear in the screens for those particular programs. Other improvements that we've made to the web UI are around longer comments for order details. So in the order entry screen, you now enter information in the comments and instructions field in a box instead of a table. So it allows you to enter longer comments without having to split them up into multiple rows within that particular table. And you can also now specify BOM numbers on order details. So in order entry, when entering in an order detail for a bill of material, you can now specify that BOM number within that kit BOM field as well. So neat little addition. So a couple of nice little features there. Along with every prior release, there's a number of resources available to you regarding relating to help documentation, overview documentation. This is, I guess, an extension of what we've done with regards to the YouTube playlist. So we've also provided some support and training videos and how-to clips that are available via the Sage customer support and training channel. So you can access that to get access into the YouTube playlist to view some neat little videos on all new functionality that have been released within the previous releases, but other helpful tips and tricks as well. Okay, so with that, we'll just take a look into the future as to what's coming in version 2021. General availability, I guess, as I mentioned earlier, is scheduled for the end of September for this release. The main feature that we'll be delivering in version 2021 will be payments acceptance. Again, this will be available to subscription-only customers as well. Payments acceptance allows Sage Stream customers to create invoices with a Pay Now button to receive payments from your customers through various payment methods. The way that we've done this is through Sage Service Fabric Payment Services, and Sage has partnered with payment gateways such as Stripe and PayPal, again, a bit like the bank feeds aggregators, but on the other end. And these guys, as we would mostly know, support the major credit cards used across Australia and New Zealand, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and the others. So Stripe and PayPal are the primary aggregators that we've partnered with. You can go through that process to sign up to one of those payment providers. However, if you've already got an account with either Stripe or PayPal, you can simply connect with that pre-existing service. To give you an idea, as I mentioned before, through AR options, there's a new tab with an entry point here to payments acceptance service. So from here, you set up that provider and all be managed through that. So we make it a pretty seamless, easy approach to sign up or to hook up with your existing services. To give you a bit of an understanding of the entire process flow, as it were, it's pretty straightforward, as you would imagine it to be. As a Sage 300 customer, Sage 300 user, I should say, that's using payments acceptance, you would simply onboard or sign up to a provider that provides the payment acceptance service I mentioned before. You generate your invoice for your end user or end customer, I should say, with a Pay Now button, and you email that invoice off to your customer. Your customer then receives that invoice and selects a Pay Now button, and that end customer is directed to a payment method selection screen where they can select the payment method, albeit Visa or MasterCard or another that they wish to use. And from there, the payment is automatically reconciled at the back end of Sage 300, including all associated fees. So it's a pretty streamlined, seamless process using payments acceptance. Just a bit of an understanding of availability and some caveats here. Again, as I mentioned, it's available in desktop and web screens, but only available to subscription customers. At this point in time, there's a couple of limitations that I'll make you aware of. Partial payments are not yet supported. There's a bit of a roadmap when it comes to development and continuous improvement of payments acceptance, so a couple of limitations here. Multi-currency payments aren't yet supported. Multi-payment schedules aren't supported. MOTO, which is an acronym for mail order, telephone order, which requires a menu option so that if you're on the phone to your customers, there's not yet a menu option to enter in those payment details, and nor are refunds available at this point in time. So again, it's a couple of limitations just to be aware of, but in time, I guess there'll be a continuous improvement strategy for payments. So Sage has taken a bit of an evolutionary approach with this one. Ultimately, we want to build a compelling payments acceptance proposition to enable SMEs such as yourselves to transform your payments acceptance process. We're going to create a single digital environment for all cloud native and cloud connected products using Sage Business Cloud, and in conjunction with Service Fabric, which is the backbone of Business Cloud payment services to deliver those features and functions across multiple regions using those common services and capabilities replicated within those products, and to deliver a consistent, seamless experience for our customers. I just wanted to finish off with a couple of smaller enhancements that we're going to be delivering in the next version at the end of September, in version 2021. Next slide, please. A couple of little features here around the UI and web UIs in particular. So we've increased the character limit length for deposit slips and checks. I'm not sure whether many of you would be using check numbers at the moment, but deposit slip numbers and the like, up to 15 characters in length, 2021. There's a new text sizing setting as well, allowing you to change the text size within web screens, so making the size smaller than the default setting. Smaller text obviously allows you to see more fields without having to scroll up and down to read everything within that screen. And also Sage CRM integration enhancement, allowing you to paste multiple text lines in order entry and purchase order entry within the web UI. So again, just a couple of neat little enhancements there to continuously improve the web user experience. I wanted to touch on just now, finish off on the release cadence and the roadmap coming up for Sage 300 as well. So next slide, please. Just give you a bit of an insight as to what's coming and in what delivery cadence. As I may have mentioned in the previous session last year, the feedback that we got from partners and customers that the release cadence was so regular and it was difficult to consume 3 releases per year. I guess with that, we wanted to provide customers with a bit of choice when it comes to upgrading. Current release, as you can see at the top left there, back in July. But also with that, we're now introducing an alternating approach when it comes to feature release and fixed release, meaning that if you aren't experiencing any major issues with 300 and the next release is a fixed release, you're not compelled to take on that release. You can await the next feature release, which will also contain those fixes anyway. So in theory, you can take a feature release in September 20, which is the 2021 release, and then await 2021.2 in March 21. So if you're not experiencing any issues. So we want to give customers a bit of freedom of choice when it comes to when they upgrade. As you can see from a roadmap standpoint, FY20 is a very, very busy year for Sage 300. Obviously, many web UI enhancements. We introduced Sage Data Hub for Sage 300. Also, multiple contacts was released in an earlier version. And then obviously Sage Banking Cloud, bank feeds, Sage Payments, and some tax compliance related developments as well. If we look into the future, FY21 through to 23 will be a busy period as well. Obviously, we'll continue to fit out web screens for GL, AR, and AP, right through to purchase order entry, inventory control, in through the project as well in FY23. 64-bit web UIs, 64-bit APIs, and then we'll be also adapting some of the screens within Sage 300 to make AP function a bit like AR, and also introduce some quick order entry screens within AR, AP, order entry, and purchase order, specifically for the web UIs, many compliance updates, and service fabric elements to underpin those. But then also new cloud connected solutions will be delivered across those periods as well. So as you know, core cloud offerings or cloud connected solutions such as bank feeds and Sage Payments, but also ISV offerings as well that will continue to extend the functional reach of Sage 300 beyond the core proficiency. So a lot of movement happening, and I'll talk about that very, very shortly. Before we sort of delve into ISVs, I just wanted to point out, I guess, as we've migrated this presentation, we can see that many features now that just aren't available to perpetual customers. From a programming standpoint, we're restricted. These particular solutions rely on a call to the licensing server that resides for subscription customers, hard-coded within the solution, that we can't replay those new features and functions and cloud connected solutions to perpetual customers due to that licensing issue. But if we look at the evolution of previous releases from 2019.1 right through to the top where we are today at 2020.2, you can see there that whilst items such as bank feeds and GL tax enhancements that we were talking about earlier are only available for subscription customers, you'll note there that there's an AU prefix marked against a number of these items. These particular items weren't originally intended for perpetual customers. However, the decision locally was to replay these features out to our perpetual customers so that they can take advantage of these enhancements. So enhancements such as web screens, multiple contacts, through to CRM integration enhancements and others. Just demonstrating there's a lot of commitment to perpetual customers and to ensure that you're getting maximum value out of those. But I guess, there are some features and functions that we just can't deliver to those perpetual customers. Therefore, we're providing you with a choice to migrate to a subscription licensing model. I just wanted to touch on the year-on-year evolution of 300 briefly. There's a rather large infographic here that I've just broken up into individual pieces. Very, very quickly, we'll just take a moment to walk through that journey of Sage 300, starting at the beginning, where we in 2016, where we introduced web screens, which were rolled out in that year, through to Sage Intelligence. And then when we get into 2017 and 2018, it was a couple of very busy years where we introduced the new Finder, searches to enable faster insights to operational financial performance. Then in 2018, where we delivered UI improvements and updated our visual process flows, through to 2019, where Office 365 and CRM integration enhancements were delivered, as well as a new global search feature, which is pretty cool. And into the next slide, where we are here today in 2020, a lot of work has been done to deliver multiple contacts, again, bank feeds, now payment acceptance, and more to come in version 2021 and onwards. So in our next slide here, I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on our ISVs and how we're tracking with those. There's been a lot of activity on the ISV front, and if we just start at the top here with Pacific Tech's AP automation. Pacific Tech have re-released their AP automation. We've been able to release some new subscription pricing bundles, which have just recently been released. Really excited about those. just makes it a lot easier, a lot more predictable when it comes to the associated costs when transacting using AP automation tools out of Pacific Tech. So that's really exciting. Easy Collect, which is an AR automation offering, which is currently to be onboarded. So hopefully we'll get some new features out of released from Easy Collect. And into Orchid Systems, Orchid RAS, which is the remote approvals and workflow, which allows you to progress the extended workflows from any internet-connected device without needing to be logged on to Sage 300, so for approvals and the like. So neat little workflow offering there as well. And then also Auto Simply, the new Sales Anywhere app, mobile solution for Sage 300. You can complete sales transactions while you're on the road and post them back into 300 in near real time. You can raise quotations to impress your customers by creating and sending those quotations instantly in front of them instead of days later. You can create sales orders and invoices remotely and post them into 300 and conduct payments, record payments straight away. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming from Auto Simply as well. So fantastic. And that concludes a bit of a walkthrough as to what we've delivered, what's to be delivered, a bit of a roadmap and a year-on-year step through. So thank you. I'll hand it back.
I think we can call that a wrap. Thank you, everyone. If you would like to learn more about Sage 300 Classic, Hybrid or Cloud, please contact your Sage account manager or Stefan with Sage Cloud Queries.